I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Beth.
Sure. Commissioner Benoit?
Here.
Commissioner Heinen?
He will be here later. He
Okay.
let me know.
Sounds good. Commissioner Pop?
Present.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Gopinski?
Here.
Thank you.
Approve or amend the agenda. Any additions, corrections?
Mr. Chair, two additions. The first would be consent item number 9, application for consumption and display permit from the Auditor Treasurer's Office. That's consent agenda item number 9. And then the other item is discuss the St. Cloud Airport and Sheriff's Office jail operations. If we could add that as the first item at 10:15, County Administrator, please. First item at 10:15.
What'd you say, airport?
St. Cloud Airport and Sheriff's Office jail operations.
Move for approval of the amended agenda, Mr. Chair.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda with the added items. Is there anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. County board meetings are broadcast live and video recorded on YouTube. Please refrain from speaking from the audience areas and come to the podium so that viewers can hear you. The county board observes Robert's Rules of Order for its meetings, so please obtain the board's chair consent before addressing the county board. Public comments are generally reserved for the open forum segment or public hearing. However, public comment on any agenda items may be allowed for at the discretion of the board. As we begin today's meeting, please turn your cell phones to vibrate. Thank you. Open forum?
No one.
Okay, thanks. Consent agendas 1 through 9. I believe now. What's your wishes?
Move
Anyone?
approval.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded for agenda items 1 through 9. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Monty Henley.
Well, Mr. Chair, we invited our lobbyists from Mark and Hoppe and Mr. Grady Harn to join us this morning for a brief legislative update. I know Grady has another meeting he's got to get to, so that's why we had him first on your agenda. So, Grady, I'll turn it over to you, perhaps to give us the big picture of the legislature, and then if you could also kind of give us an update on the specific legislative initiatives that Benton County is pursuing. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Monty, and Mr. Chair and Commissioners. And it's an honor to be working with Benton County at the Capitol and helping you bring your voice to legislators. A quick update from St. Paul. As you know, the beginning of session started out in ties, and it was unprecedented turf. I think it only happened once in 1979 before. We are currently in a one-seat Democrat-led Senate. The House is currently, they elected a Republican Speaker of the House, Speaker Lisa Damon, who will be Speaker until a special election occurs, or actually she will be Speaker for 2 years now that she was elected in this agreement that they came up with. There's a special election on March 11th, and then it will be very likely that the House will go into a power sharing agreement with a Republican chair of each committee and a Democrat chair of each committee. So it's interesting times at the Capitol, but I think a positive thing is that any bill that moves forward this session will need to have bipartisan support. So with that, we are working hard for Benton County on 2 major initiatives, one being the Highway 1 project and another being the tax exemption for construction material for the new government center. Had a delegation from the county, and we thank the commissioners that participated and met with every member of the Benton County delegation. Additionally, and this was on February 13th, additionally, we're able to meet with Senate Transportation Republican lead, Senator Jasinski, as well as the chair of the bonding committee in the Senate, Senator Pappas, and had good discussions on how important Highway 1 is for Benton County, getting something done this session. In our meetings with members, we raise again the Benton County project and ask for $21 million, the tax exemption, and then we also voice the support of the board for the Avivo homeless shelter project that is being looked at. Very productive meetings. I think we heard honest feedback from the delegation that while a bonding bill, there is a lot of appetite to getting something done because of the political landscape, and it requires a super majority. They weren't sure that the number one priority this session was passing a budget, which they need to do by the end of session. If not, the governor will need to call a special election, and they'll have to get that passed first. And so we're hoping that can, once we get the result of the special election, towards the end of March, it'll be certified, and then the committees can continue their work and we can move forward and get the budget in order and move forward with the bonding bill. One thing of note in our meeting with Senator Pappas was that she mentioned that she has about $790 million for bonding projects this year, with an expected another $1 billion next year. And she was hoping to be able to get one done and bring on the required votes to make up a supermajority to pass it this year. So we'll continue to work very hard for Benton County and update you all on our progress. We have a hearing set for Thursday in the Senate Tax Committee on our tax exemption bill, and all bills for our projects have been introduced in both bodies. With that, I will open it up for any questions and go from there.
Anybody got any questions? Anybody?
Mr. Chair, if I
Sure.
could, just a comment. First of all, thank you, Grady. You basically held my hand during that whole day. It was a long day, a lot of steps in. I really appreciate the guidance. I thought it was an excellent day of meeting multiple legislators, so really appreciate that. We could tell, or at least I could tell when we're walking through the different offices, a lot of legislators down there. Hey, Grady, how you doing? Hey, Grady, what's up? Hey, Grady. So that was a really good sign and a good thing, and I just want to tell you that I appreciated the opportunity to spend the day with you. It was a great learning experience, and I think we had a lot of great discussions that day, so thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to say the same thing, Grady. Thank you for showing us around and having the opportunity to meet with the legislators.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, thank you very much, and I think it's those little moments every day that you have the ability to interact with the legislators and build those relationships that helps get the projects done. So we will continue to be knocking on all doors.
Great.
Okay. Anything else? All right.
Thank
Thanks.
you,
Thank you, Grady.
thank you, commissioners, for going down.
It was a great day.
Thank you.
And I'll be there Thursday with the tax exemption bill.
Okay.
I think I'll be joining them. I'm trying to.
Good.
I think next is the recognition. How about we ask the folks representing the jail? Where are we first? Charlene and Troy, can we do that first?
We're on Monty.
Yeah?
Oh, we're missing Tim.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Legislature update was
Meeting for Martin and Kayla Cooper in the jail for an innovation and efficiency award. Just to give you a little background, Cora is a newer sergeant and Kayla is a detention officer who fills in when we don't have a sergeant on, which is called a shift lead. Cora and Kayla they were working on the same shift, and we fill out what's called a pay to stay when the inmate is done with their time in our jail. It recoups some of the costs. We charge them $25 a day to sit in our jail when they're sentenced. So they were completing this paperwork on another inmate, and they were asking each other, why can't we charge inmates who are sentenced to prison for their time, that the credit that they're being awarded by the court system that they spent in our county, why can't we charge them for that, which we have not done in the past? I brought that question to Sheriff Heck, who then brought it to our county attorney. And in looking at that, it was found that a law was changed many years ago, allowing jails to use that credit that they were given on their prison sentence, so we could recoup that cost. And again, that's up to $25 a day that we can charge that inmate. So sometimes those inmates can sit up to 2 years in our jail while they're waiting to be sentenced, so $25 a day adds up fast. So that is why I nominated them, is they didn't just go with the status quo of saying that's how we've done it in the past.
Yes, and obviously, we're very proud of the innovation and the outside-the-box thinking of both Kayla and Cora, and I'm very much in support of the nomination and very glad that we have these folks here today to be honored.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. They should come up.
Board chair to be a part of this presentation, please. Or if you all want to join in, that's up to you, of course. Right. Got to come up front.
Your choice.
You,
Congratulations.
Man up. Let's do it.
okay.
Nice way to say thank you.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. And our next group is Christine who's gonna speak on behalf of Auditor Treasurer folks?
I can speak.
Oh,
Hey. Boy, that was from the heavens, wasn't it?
Sorry.
Please, Christine, go right ahead. If you want to, yeah, please go ahead.
So I just wanted to nominate the girls in our office for the awesome job that they did throughout the 2024 election cycle. There was 4 elections during the year, and it was a stressful time, and this is just the true definition of what a team looks like. And everybody helped out equally and put in their hours and worked 15 days straight with no days off, and so I just wanted the board to recognize them.
Excellent. All right, Christine, could you introduce each of the folks that you recognize, and we'd ask them to come on up front and join us, please? Everyone has to come up front.
Christy Bosshart, who's our Assistant Auditor Treasurer. Christy Whiting, who is a Deputy Auditor Treasurer. Nicole Leach is a Deputy Auditor Treasurer. Leatha Lanes is our Land Analysis. Heather Bondus is our Senior Deputy Auditor. And Amber Wyrock and Chastity Thompson, who work in our DMV.
Thank you, Christine. All right. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
For all your work. Thank you, ladies.
Yeah.
I just want to say both of these awards are very much appreciated. Between the election, and we all know how contentious that was. Having a team like that put together with no issues and everything is phenomenal. Then you look at the other things that we've been talking about a little bit on the jail and stuff like that, having employees look at other ways of increasing revenue is incredible. So kudos to all the award recipients.
I agree. Thank you.
Jacqueline from Public Health.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, so this morning, we're here to ask the board to adopt a resolution to authorize an expenditure of opioid funds for mental health co-responder. This was discussed previously at the last committee of the whole. So in your board packet there is an enclosed resolution, and so we'd be looking to ask for an adoption of.
So we have the resolution before us. Do you want to read it, or do we want it read?
You actually, at your discretion, Mr. Chair, if you wish these to be read or otherwise incorporated into the record, that's your call.
Okay. What's your wishes?
Mr. Chair, I'll move for approval and incorporate it into the record.
Okay.
Second.
The motion been made and seconded to incorporate it into the record. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This time we'll reassess the county board to conduct public health, or community health board. Turn it over to Commissioner Heinen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, we'll call to order the Benton County Community Health Board. Approve or amend the agenda. Do we have anything to add to the agenda?
No additions this morning.
Move for approval, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. There's one item under consent agenda. What would you like to do with that?
Move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Jacqueline, consider the request for public health to continue to apply for up to 3 Health AmeriCorps members.
Yes, so it's about that time where we should be looking at board support for us renewing with AmeriCorps. We've had AmeriCorps public health members for the last 3 years. It's gone fairly well. They've done a lot of really good projects for us. Actually have them set to come do a board update to talk about the projects that they've been working on, and then this has come through. This was launched back in 2022, and the main goal of the AmeriCorps program was to help build capacity in local public health, as well as help to address workforce shortages and getting more individuals into the public health workforce. So we have had members throughout the last 3 years, along with our current members, and would just be looking for support from the board for us to continue to apply for up to 3 members per year. AmeriCorps has shared that they likely would have continued contract with their partner for the next 5 years, so looking out over the next 5 years. And then just a refresher on the AmeriCorps members, it is a full-time position or part-time position. Most of ours have been 40 hours per week, fully funded through AmeriCorps. They get placed with our site, so we're with Benton County. Really, our responsibility is supervision time, and then providing desk space, office space, equipment. Their benefits are paid through AmeriCorps, so they have health insurance through AmeriCorps. They also receive, I believe it's childcare benefit, as well as a tuition reimbursement or tuition payment reimbursement through AmeriCorps. So.
Great.
Thank you. Jacqueline, I got one question. You said over the next 5 years. I thought they only ran 3 years at a time, though.
Initially, I think they had said 3 years, but now they had said their contracts have changed. So when I talked to AmeriCorps, I said, so time frame? I said, if I'm looking out over 5 years, he said that should be fine. So, I mean, if it changes, we wouldn't request, but just wanting to make sure I have authorization in order to continue to submit in each year.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for that
Yep.
information. Board?
Move for approval, Mr. Chair.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Next, consider the request to submit notice to intent to apply for the renewal of the SHIP grant funding.
Yeah. So our current SHIP grant is set to expire here shortly. We've received notice from the Minnesota Department of Health that it's time to submit intent if we're planning on applying again. Our last SHIP grant cycle ends in October of 31st of 2025. That award amount was around $841,000 over that 5-year time frame. So we would be looking or asking for Community Health Board support to submit a letter of intent to continue our SHIP grant funding over the next grant cycle.
Move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Pop?
Yeah, are we applying for the same amount, 845,000, or?
Yeah, so the amount is worded through the funding formulas, but so it would be what the Minnesota Department of Health has for funding.
Okay.
I haven't heard that anything's changed.
Okay.
A board meeting ago, we did come back asking for additional SHIP grant funding. They do have dual settlements that get reached over time frames, and so there's times where our contract's amended and we do get additional funds. So this allocation award amount that we received over the last grant cycle included some additional dual funding settlement payments. That's not something that is necessarily guaranteed every single cycle, but it is something that we are looking at again for this year. We just submitted that application, or Mariah's been working on that as well. So I can't say it would be the same exact amount, but that's around what it has been.
All right.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Anything else, Jacqueline?
No, that's it.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very
Thank you.
much. At this time, we're adjourned at 9:21, and I'll turn it over to the board chair.
We'll reconvene the board. Monty.
Mr. Chair, we understand that folks at Dexter are unable to be here this morning. Apparently, they had travel difficulties, so they are not in attendance.
Is that because of the very low temp?
Well, if they're coming from Florida, they probably didn't even get on.
I think Roxanne told me like Detroit or something.
Oh,
They're
really?
stranded in Detroit.
Snow. Yeah, that's the snow.
So they actually approached us about being here, so presumably they'll want to reschedule. So.
Okay.
I did speak to someone and they want to reschedule for March 18th.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
We'll get that on for.
They seem to have confusion about who they should contact.
Well,
March 18th?
I would think it should be Roxanne, right?
Well, it's kind of bounced around. I mean, sometimes I'll contact Roxanne, sometimes me, and this time Beth.
Maybe we need a tree, like who's on. They can keep going down the list, but okay.
And actually, the person that was going to be here it wasn't Adam. It was some other person.
Mike.
Hey, Mike.
We have not worked with before.
Okay.
I have not worked with before, so I.
Wow.
Huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe there was turnover.
What?
There
Turnover?
was turnover.
Yeah. I mean,
After they got beat up at the public hearing in Sauk Rapids a few weeks ago, maybe there was.
well, it wasn't that bad. I didn't think.
It was interesting.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Interesting's a good, better word than.
Better word for it.
It was interesting.
And you hear that some of that money has gone away, that they froze some of that funding, because I had asked the question up in Rice, and they said their funding is all in place there.
Okay.
I didn't think
All right,
it was like Franklin was the last name.
Sandy
Different person.
Schoberg.
Yeah.
Get a
Sorry.
different person.
Good morning.
Morning, Sandy.
Morning.
The first agenda item that we had for Human Services was to request request from Scott County to consider a letter of support for the advocacy to reduce the amount of min-choice assessments. If you recall, our duty right now is we have to do min-choice assessments once a year. That's Deb's unit. That's where we have a waiting. That's where we just hired 2 new assessors, additional assessors for that unit. So Scott County has chosen to go forward looking to change the rules to every 3 years would be the assessment, or as needed or as requested. This would greatly reduce the number of assessments we do. It is supported by Max, that is supported by Micah. One might be concerned that with nobody looking at seeing the client and doing an assessment every year, that some things may be missed. However, it is not that our agency still wouldn't have contact with these individuals. Case managers go out twice a year, and there are continued people providing services. Assessment can be done at any point in their plan. if asked for or requested. So this would reduce our workload. It would allow us to move some staff or you to move some staff to where they are needed or cut down on our costs.
This, Mr. Chair, this was talked about at Micah down in Scott County when we were there, so.
Do you think it's partly due because there may not be enough funding for this going forward, or?
I do not think this is motivated by funding. I think it's motivated by the same thing we're seeing here. We're required to see clients within 10 days. No county in the state has been able to do that as of late, or at least barely any, if any. And everybody's had waiting lists, which we haven't had before. I think it's truly meant to meet the needs of our workforce.
And again, Mr. Chair, I think that was highlighted, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sandy, but the antiquated systems that have to be dealt with don't help the process.
It does not, correct.
Mr. Chair, I would agree with all of that. Sandy, I'm assuming other counties have had this letter of request too?
Yes, I don't know exactly who else, but I did talk with Stearns and Wright and Sherburne counties, and they were also endorsing it.
Okay, thank you.
Move for approval of the letter of support, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And I'm going to ask Nikki Knowles to come up for the next two agenda items.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
The first topic is the Lighthouse contract. This is a new contract for an old purpose. We're currently contracting with Central Minnesota Mental Health Center for our clinical supervision for our mental health team. The person that we had been using for the last few years is retiring, and they are not able to fulfill that position for us any longer. So I was able to connect with Lighthouse, who is currently doing it for one of our neighboring counties, to continue that contract for us starting March 1st.
Mr. Chair, just a question, Nikki. Looking at the contract as far as payment for services, it talks about a not to exceed number of 52,500 at the rate of $175 an hour. And I think it said up to 25 hours a month, is that right? So is that what the billing is, or is the billing actually, if there's 20 hours a month, that's what it is?
It's per hour. Per hour
So
used.
everything's
Yep.
per
Fee for
hour
service.
with a not to exceed at that total?
Correct.
All right, thank you. I just want to clarify that.
And we use significantly less than that. We do a higher number just because if we have new workers coming in, they need weekly supervision. So it's kind of a math game for a while. So if our mental health team stays consistent, then it is only 2 hours a month. So it really depends on where our team is at.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Great. I'll make a motion to approve the contract with the Lighthouse Child and Family Services.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And then the second agenda item is for a request from Momentum Center. We have Stephanie Ferguson here to talk further about the request letter, and I believe the letter is in our board chair's packet.
Good morning. Thanks
Morning.
for having
Morning.
me. I think, Steve, you were probably on the last one when I was here. I'm not sure if
Yep.
anyone else was, but my name is Stephanie Ferguson. I currently own Momentum Center. We serve males in St. Cloud on the east side of St. Cloud, which is in Benton County. I was back here probably almost 4 years ago. We'll be 4 years old this summer. Just speaking to the fact that East Haven had closed and I was reopening, serving the same population, which is males in substance use disorder, serving drugs and alcohol. We are the lowest level of residential care. And I'm coming this morning to talk to you about the Thrifty Motel location. And the reason for that is we're just shy of what needs to be separate and the zoning purposes of the property. It's zoned for motel, hotel, and I would like to turn it into Momentum Center for Women. And have a 1.0 program, which is an aftercare program, which would have a separate door entrance that would serve both populations. And the vision would be eventually to have adolescent programming as well for an aftercare. It would be a site where individuals in the community could come to be assessed. On the women's portion, they would be kept separate, so there would not be any interactions between the populations. And we would be serving the same level of care, which is the lowest level of care, 3.1 for residential for the state of Minnesota. And if you're wondering kind of what that entails, it entails right now under state programming is about 8 hours, 5 to 8 hours of programming a week. That also includes them seeing their counselor, their licensed alcohol drug counselor. We provide groups for relapse prevention, co-occurring, which talks about mental health, as well as the heartbeat of who I am and what my programs stand for is really filling those gaps that have been set into place throughout life for living skills. So a lot of our time also staff are working on living skills. So the Thrifty Martell would be turned into apartment style living. That is currently my model and one that I stand by. So the women would be cooking for themselves, maintaining their living space, attending groups. There would be more office space for staff as we're kind of crunched in our newest location. And so you may be thinking, like, how are they providing food for themselves? Our clients get a $50 food card weekly to be able to start those skills and cooking for themselves. We have many different agencies from the area come in and do different classes, as well as above and beyond the 5 to 8 hours of programming. So we do offer more programming for our clients because there's that need of the life skills built. Questions?
Any questions?
Mr. Chair.
Sure.
Excuse me. Yep, thank you, Stephanie. I did actually tour that place with you too, about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Are you going to keep that place open too then?
Absolutely, it serves males.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. So they would be separate. This would be a whole different project.
Okay.
Larger than my first project.
Right. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
I got a question. You said you're looking for a rezoning?
There would need to be a zoning. Yep.
Okay.
I have spoken with St. Cloud on that. There needs to be an okay from Benton County to be able to move forward with St. Cloud.
That sounds a little
That
weird
sounds
to
a
me.
little
You're in
weird.
the city limits there, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It does, but
I think this might refer back to our last.
One of my questions
Yep.
was going to be, what has it been like dealing with the city to try to get this zoning?
I actually have not had any issues.
Okay.
I know that there's been issues. I did catch wind of that did a little thinking on my own. And so I have heard, it sounds like there was maybe a gal that was in that space, and I don't know the full story, so just bear with me here. And maybe her model that she was going under possibly was more on like a homeless shelter type of a model. And that could have been what was going on because of the Salvation Army being so close, and maybe Place of Hope. I'm not sure about that. My thing with the zoning is a couple of things. Not only does a property need to be rezoned, but in statutes it states that you cannot have within a half a mile, you can't have two residential. And I am the residential, and it's just a little shy of being a half a mile apart.
Mr. Chair, Roxanne, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Benton County would be involved at all in the zoning.
Okay.
Doesn't mean we don't have concerns or want to be at the table about those type of facilities or homeless shelters.
Yeah.
But I don't know that Benton County will have any say.
No.
Zoning requests in the city of St. Cloud.
Okay, sounds good.
And I think the only reason that there was issues before.
Yeah.
Is they went against exactly what the zone, the reasons for having the spacing needs of these situations. They went against exactly why those spacing needs are in there.
Yep.
And their, and on their, variance.
Yep.
Action, so.
But again,
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
we have no say.
No, we don't have any say.
No.
If I may, I think the reason we brought this to board, however, is that in order for her to receive her license through the state of
Yes.
Minnesota, the Benton County Board does need to do a statement of need for the CD program, not about zoning.
Right.
But
Okay.
about the need
Yep.
for the service.
Okay.
So that was the focus for bringing it to board today.
And
Okay.
Sandy, I would assume the letter that's presented here, somebody worked in conjunction, that's what you need, is what's in this letter.
Correct.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
Wishes.
I'll make a motion to approve the chair to sign a letter of support for Momentum Center to open a residential program in Benton County.
I'll second.
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Thank you.
Good luck, Stephanie.
thank you.
Thank you.
Roxanne?
Close the community health.
No, that was,
were
we
already-
did before.
This was Human Services Board.
Okay. All right. So before you, we have the Mississippi St. Cloud One Watershed, One Plan. What we're requesting is adoption of the joint powers agreement between those entities. So it would be Benton, Meeker, Stearns, Sherburne, and Wright counties, and then Benton, Meeker, Mille Lacs, Stearns, Sherburne, and Wright SWCDs. We do need to present the plan to you and have that adopted by resolution prior to the adoption of the JPE. And I've got Emily Forboard here with the SWCD to give a presentation on the plan. In your packets, you were provided just the executive summary because it's over 400 pages, I believe. Emily, do you want me to pull up the? Yeah.
We're going through all 400, right?
Yep, all of it.
She likes to when you let her, give her a little leash and she's gone with it.
Is it the max?
Just,
Yeah, I'd bring it up to Roxanne.
Okay.
Change the resolution before we move on.
You probably can find it quicker than I can.
Yeah, that's.
Is it subdivision 3A or 3B?
So let's see.
And while Emily's pulling that up, I did make a correction to the resolution. Commissioner Johnson pointed out that I had flip-flopped the commissioners that were appointed to that board.
So you flip-flopped them to the
Getting
right.
confused between the Sartell and the St. Cloud. We're going through a lot of the
Yeah.
same stuff.
Easy
So
to
I
do.
did make that correction and provided Beth.
I really wanted to leave it, but I thought.
Oh, no, no.
All right, can you guys see that okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. As Roxanne said, I'm Emily Forboard from Benton SWCD. I'm the Watershed and Outreach Specialist. And I will be talking about the Mississippi St. Cloud One Watershed, One Plan briefly. So as Roxanne said, there are 6 counties, 11 LGUs throughout this watershed plan, and they all assisted in the planning efforts. The total acreage of the watershed is 691,000 acres. And the main focus of the plan is to restore impaired waters and habitats, protect high-quality resources, and protect groundwater. The priority issues that were created for this plan were created by the public input and kickoff meeting, as well as the state agencies, and then our LGUs and SWCDs. The priority issues were surface water, groundwater, habitat and natural resources, and then landscape resiliency. And then under those priority issues are the concerns, so pollutant runoff, altered hydrology, internal loads for surface water, and then for groundwater is quality and quantity. And for habitat and natural resources, it's the restoration, protection, and preservation of our resources. And then the landscape resiliency would be, the concern would be the soil health. For Benton County, we have 3 of the priority management zones, or I guess they're broken up into 7 different management zones. Benton County has the Headwaters Elk, the Elk River, and the St. Francis. And there are different levels of priorities throughout those 3 sub-watersheds in our county. And the plan does follow very similarly to our previous water plan. Any questions? Do we want to go through each page a little bit more, or?
No.
No.
Okay.
I was kidding.
You can highlight
You
it.
can highlight-
You can highlight it as much as you want.
Okay. So here's just a map of the county, or the watershed, excuse me. Here, obviously, this talks about the management zone. So we have the Headwaters Elk River, the Elk River, and the St. Francis in our county. Here, this just talks about the local governments that are participating, all of the counties and the SWCDs. So Benton, Meeker, Mille Lacs, Sherburne, Stearns, Wright, SWCDs, and then the only county that didn't participate was Mille Lacs County, so that's why we have 11 instead of 12 LGUs. Another management area with the counties broken out. This just talks about the different committees that help create these priority issues and concerns. Scott was part of our policy committee. This is just the public notices and public input that was taken into consideration while doing or completing these priority issues. This just walks through how we got to the prioritized issues, and then our implementation table, which contains all of the BMPs that will be put to use in the plan. Talks about this page talks about some different prioritization on, so the RAPS, the MPCA, that's a report put together by the MPCA, just different state and local reports that were in consideration for the issues. These are the 4 issues that I had talked about. So the groundwater, surface water, landscape resiliency, and then the habitat and natural resources. And then these are the concerns broken down from the 4 issues. So pollutant runoff, altered hydrology, internal lake processes, groundwater quality and quantity, habitat and natural resources, restoration, protection, and preservation. And then the landscape resiliency is soil health. There are measurable goals based off of each issue statement. I could go through all of them, but it would take a long time. So hopefully you looked through those. This was actually a photo of our kickoff meeting back in January of 2023. And then here is the multi-benefit analysis. So this is what we will be using to determine on whether projects are a high priority, or opportunity. So that burnt orange or dark orange color is going to be our high priority areas, and the lighter orange is going to be the priority areas. So those 2 colors, the orangish colors, are going to be areas where BMPs will be taking place first or have a higher priority of taking place. And then you can kind of see along here, there are some streams and lakes within the watershed that have a high priority buffer along them as well, and that's about 1,000 feet. So anything within those areas are also high priority. Different priority protection and restoration lakes and streams within the watershed. So for Benton County, we have priority restoration on Elk River and Mayhew Creek, and then St. Francis, the St. Francis River. And then for protection streams, we have the Stony Brook. And it's kind of hard to see, but the priority restoration lake that we have within Benton County is Mayhew Lake. Any questions?
Any questions? I got one. Do you know about how much funding is gonna come, like for the 2-year process, 2-year period?
Yeah, so we just put in requests for this first fiscal year, FY '25, and this year is going to be 1.2 million.
Okay. And that has to be programmed out between staff and everything else for 2 years, right?
Correct,
Okay.
yes. It will expire December 31st of 2027.
Okay. Anything else?
And Mr. Chair, Emily, the new board will help walk through that process too, right? Once this resolution happens, then we'll identify a new board for this, and we'll help be involved in the dispersion of those dollars.
Yep.
We can set that board now if you like.
Well,
I
I
think
think
we
you
already
are with the
know.
resolution.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah.
I mean, pretty much, unless it changes, it was pretty much the same
Policy committee.
as the policy committee. You know, maybe we'll have changes over the years, but
I smell a change coming.
no.
Mm.
Okay. We need to adopt this,
First the plan.
first the plan and then the
And then the-
appointment. Okay.
Move for approval to adopt the plan, Mr. Chair.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded to adopt the plan. Is there any other discussion, any other questions? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
No.
Now the JPE, is it?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to adopt the JP with the corrected commissioner spots, myself as the main and yourself as the alternate.
Okay.
I would love to second that.
Yeah.
Thank
Motion
you
been
guys
made and
again for.
seconded. Now's the chance to bow out.
I don't think so.
In all seriousness, I do thank you
Yes,
guys for
and
being on
it-
this, because it's, when you do one, it just makes a lot of
You know, and
sense.
if you look at this one, and you look at what we used to have as the Elk River watershed that did a lot of really good things throughout Benton County, and then that was dissolved, so this has got to kind of take its place
Mhm.
in that for our Elk River. You know, I always thought the Elk River was a really good board that a lot of money came to Benton County and Sherburne County, but not all counties involved seen it that way, so.
Wasn't the first one the Rum River?
The first, well.
First watershed.
Yeah, the first
First
watershed, but
watershed.
we used to have the
So you've been involved with 3 of them now, so this is great.
yeah.
Well, before the water plans. it was-
Before the water
Yeah,
plans came in,
correct.
we had, well, the Elk River was dissolved before Bowser actually started,
Long time ago.
yeah. I
Long
mean,
time ago.
That's,
So this is,
For our time.
this has been ongoing.
that might have
yeah.
been before Emily was born even.
Yeah,
Probably.
maybe not. So, we got a motion and a second to recommend Commissioner Johnson to be appointed to that board.
And you as the alternate, correct? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bet. Monty? Or no, first we'll set committee of the holes.
I do got one thing
Okay.
under,
We seem to go by meeting updates and comments by commissioners. Did you already cover those? And I just
No, we
missed it?
didn't.
No.
Okay.
Commissioner,
I didn't bring my meeting updates, so
okay, that's fine.
I didn't have a ton.
Are we doing them or we're?
Yeah, we can do, we'll do meeting updates right now.
I'll think of mine. You guys go ahead.
Want me to start?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. Was able to attend the drainage conference up at Alex back in February 4th through the 6th. Chris was there and Christine was there. I think it was a lot of great information. They put on a lot of different sessions and always seemed to pick up something there. So it was a good conference. Commissioner Pop and I attended the Quad County Extension Committee in St. Cloud last week on the 10th. So we had all 4 counties there and had a 2.5, 3-hour meeting. So we got a lot of updates and we're able to hear from all the educators. And then also that evening, Commissioner Pop and I had the Benton County Extension Committee meeting. The next day, of course, we had our COW Airport Authority. We'll have a little more discussion about that. And then, as we talked earlier with Grady, the Capitol time down at the legislature on February 13th, and then that evening, Planning Commission meeting. So that's what I had.
Okay. Steve?
Sure. So I had the WJON radio interview with homelessness, and I want to thank Victoria for joining me on that. That went very well. I had a shack meeting, Career Solutions, and that's all I had.
Commissioner Benoit?
Had a MICA board meeting on the 12th. Met with TRICAP director on the 11th. Had First Steps Joint Powers meeting in Elk River on the 13th. And also had 2 Career Solutions meetings too.
Mr. Chair, I also was at the Capitol with Commissioner Johnson and Grady. I want to thank Commissioner Johnson for taking the second half of the day because I could not make the second half of the day. So, thank you, sir.
You made more than I made. I didn't make any of it.
That's true.
Me
but
neither.
That was very enjoyable.
I thought it was a very good day.
It was. It was
it
very
crowded
good.
or not?
You know, I didn't really feel
No.
that it was crowded.
No,
Okay.
not like years past.
Yeah.
And I really felt like we had the time we needed to talk with individual legislators, so that was good. And we picked up quite a few, 4 or 5 additional people that we weren't even going to be seeing.
In the hallway, yeah, correct. And
Happened to be open. Senator Pappas, you know, she was gracious enough to. We happened to walk by her office, and she was in there by herself. She said, "Come on in."
Oh, really?
So, yeah, no, it worked out very well.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, we did have the solid waste meeting.
I couldn't make that.
Yep. Oh, that's right. I forgot you were out of town. We had the solid waste meeting, nothing real earth shattering there. We did have the ERJC or Anoka Regional Treatment Center. That was pretty uneventful as well. APO, we had that after you guys, or after the legislative or the transportation day. David Church was there, actually gave a heck of a presentation on what he does or what his firm does for us lobbying at the Capitol. I did have a chance to talk with David after about all the resolutions that passed in Sauk Rapids, and we're gonna follow up with him from the raise grant side of things. But I think with that being in the APO area, we're able to utilize his staff for lobbying for the grant, for the raise grant. And when we were out there in November for the APO, one of the things that came up is, you know, the legislators don't have a lot of say on raise grant, but they can make calls over there. And Emmer, with his position right now, has a very big stick he can throw. So it might not be a bad idea to time that accordingly and have him, you know, tell him to highly look at this, because we've scored very well. We scored not so well the first time. We scored well the second time, and this is the third time going through. And now with everything that has came up, I think some of the things that we scored low on, like the carbon reduction, all that stuff, with all the additional people coming in, could actually go up. So we're gonna try and time that to where he can make a call over there, because then we have not only stuff at the state with Grady, we got the feds looking at it, and somewhere along the line, I think we're gonna get the money to at least do that first leg.
Have they added another acronym? Down there, it kept brought up as raise/build. So is build just a new acronym?
I have no idea.
They put on there. Do you know?
No, I
notice
picked
that?
on that too, and I just didn't
I
understand
went
what they
back
were
and forth
saying.
between raise and build. You
Yeah.
mean the build grant, or you mean the raise grant?
Yeah.
They were kind of tied together.
Office today.
But we've always been told it's just the raise grant.
Correct, that's
Yep.
what we've been told, you know, but maybe Chris would know more about that, but no. I picked up on that too, and I was gonna ask the question, and I just forgot
Right.
to be, you know, asked that question.
Did-
But, you know, you're right, Commissioner Gopinski, at the APO level, that was a very good meeting. I mean, I came in a little later, I know Commissioner Benoit was there too, and they did a very good presentation of what the APO is all about.
Yep.
But, you know, he did a great presentation about what they do in DC and what's happening. That was a very good presentation.
Yep.
And he's lobbyist for Stearns County too. right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He's from Sauk Rapids.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Dick Church was
Yeah.
on the fire department in
Okay.
Sauk Rapids.
Leonard Drew?
Yes, that's his brother.
Oh,
He-
that's his
And Dick
brother.
was there. too,
Yeah.
At the deal. But no, they do a good job. When we go out there, it's his staff taking us around and everything like that, so
When you
it's,
go for APO.
you know, and it's always one-on-one. You're not with a group. It's kind of like what Grady did with you guys.
Yeah.
So, but, one of the things I brought up, to church out there before we got Grady involved was maybe they could help us on this out there. And then we started circling back and I asked the question to, Brian, I said, well, why, if this is in our APO, we already shared in the cost study, why wouldn't he lobby us?
Exactly.
And he's like, well, technically, I suppose he could.
Yeah.
So we don't need to hire him separately.
Right.
So we're gonna be really hitting, and with me being chair of the APO, I'm gonna make sure that's one of our priorities out there. And it should be, because that's for the APO area, that's a huge development corridor.
Right.
Well, and I don't know about you, Commissioner Heinen, but that was the first time that I was at the Capitol with a lobbyist, and I can't imagine getting done what we got done that day without him.
Oh, yeah.
leading us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think back on when you guys were at DC and the $5 million came from the feds. It's a pretty good ROI for a little bit of time for commissioners and
Yeah.
for flights and
Yeah.
hotels.
Oh, it's,
Well, you even get the sense when you have the lobbyists, like, through Farmers Union or MICA, they know these people.
Yes, they
And-
do.
And if you're just hanging on to the shirt tails, pretty soon you know these people, you know.
And
So
he did a really
it-
good job of, he presented, allowed us to present.
Allowed
we
you to
went back
speak
and
your
forth.
piece,
Yes, so it was, again, highlight.
arguably, I think I got more coming back from DC than I did there, though, because I sat next to Smith. And all the legislators were coming back
At the same time.
at the same time, and they were all on our flight.
That must be why she wanted to retire. She had to sit.
Yeah,
next to
exactly.
somebody.
You'd retire
But-
too if you had to sit at night.
But I actually made the joke. I said, I'm just gonna keep flying out here and wait for you guys to come back. I'll use some of my points to upgrade and everything like that. One other thing that did come up at the APO was the Beltline, the bridge. There is a construction company. It's not Knife River. They thought it was Knife River at one point. I forgot the name of it, but they're looking at building gravel pits right where the bridge is gonna go.
Oh, really?
But it actually can be a good thing for us because they're gonna be working with the DNR and all of the we'll call it the environmentals. And what, we just gotta make sure they remediate all that area that they're taking the dirt out. And it can make it a lot easier for us to actually build the bridge in the future.
More so like when you go up to Virginia where they they mined out the stuff and then they built it back up so they could build that way around, which is, cost god awful amount of money.
Yeah, and Mike Conway actually brought up from City of St. Cloud, down in Woodbury, they did the same thing, and people don't even know that there's 400 houses in a gravel pit.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Okay.
I did, but a lot of the meetings were the same. Micah, Mr. Benight went down, got to see what Micah's like. We're gonna switch, meeting locations over to the MCIT building because we're outgrowing the one there with our new counties that are there. We had a large part of in-person this time. So, just heard a lot of legislative stuff and, the childcare funding, the fraud that's going on and
Yeah.
big deal what they had down there, so. Okey-doke, Commissioner, anyone want to do any commissioner comments?
I got a couple things.
Sure.
First off, I want to thank Commissioner Johnson for working with staff on this. This is, and having the wherewithal. Go ahead.
Go, please.
To wherewithal to think about putting it in the tax statements going out. That is clever. The next thing is with some of the resolutions we've passed in the past, one of the things that was brought up from another commissioner is, I think he had mentioned that there was a rule that resolutions have to be called individually. instead of as a group.
Roll call, you mean?
Roll call.
They have to be done.
Resolutions
roll call
are supposed
vote?
to be done by roll call.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, and
Well, I'm not aware of any statutory requirement to do that, and I'm not aware of any Robert's Rules of Order. This brings to mind, I remember a county attorney a long time ago, we were talking about, well, what is a resolution? And this county attorney said, it's just a fancy motion.
Mhm.
You have all the whereases and so on and so forth, but it's still just a motion. It just happens to be
I just thought I would bring it up.
Okay,
Because,
I've never heard that before, so.
yeah.
I think Commissioner Kapinski, if the county board wished to sort of follow that protocol, you certainly can. I mean, there's nothing that would prohibit it.
I don't have a problem with the way we're doing it, but I thought I better bring it up.
Yeah.
Because it was brought up to me.
I will make a note and look into it, but like I said, I've never.
Well, and at the same token, Mr. Chair, I would think the board could take that up on each particular resolution if you chose to do a roll call.
Yeah.
At any point, I think the chair could say, I'd like a roll call vote
yeah.
on this, right? Yeah. Sure.
It just happened to be we had a few resolutions today, and I'm sitting here going,
I mean, it definitely slows your meeting down if
Yeah.
you've got to do a roll call.
But sometimes those potential resolutions could be a little more contentious.
Yep.
So,
I know in the
whatever.
past when it's like unclear, okay, who voted how, you'll go back and do a roll call.
We've done
right,
right,
yeah.
right.
And I'm not saying what we're doing is wrong or right. I wanted to bring it up because one of the commissioners brought it up to me that, oh, don't you guys do a roll call? And I'm like, no, we don't do that.
So if I may, is there consensus to send this out? And Christine got a cost for us. It's
$12.85.
$12.85 to include this in the property tax statements as a stuffer.
Well, I think it's a great way to at least get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fair amount of people don't
know about it.
Well, that and as we talked about earlier, is most of the residents are going to be opening up their property tax statements.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
It just was a.
If you got 10, 9 of them do right away.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
I wish we had some just basic numbers to go off of. Because, you look at the remodel standpoint. I had the ability to talk to somebody over the weekend that called me specifically on this project.
Yeah.
And they used to work for the county. So they brought up a couple of things, and they're like, actually, what you're bringing up makes a little bit more sense now on remodel versus build. But a lot of people don't understand that these buildings have a lot of things that need to be upgraded coming up, elevators, stuff like that.
Big ticket.
Big ticket items that going status quo really isn't going status quo on this building.
It's not going to be.
It's not going to be. We got to start doing things to this building to bring it up
A
to
lot of
code.
CIP dollars are spent.
Yeah, and when I brought up the fact that, because I thought the architect brought up, and Pete brought up the fact that it was like between $500,000 and $600,000 or something like that a year to plan for upkeep for this building, because there's a lot of things that we've let go. So, and at that point it was like, holy cow. So the other thing he thought was very key was the wind, solar, and stuff like that potentially is in the future for putting dollars into the county.
Right.
So
No production tax.
production taxes. Yep. Sorry.
Production tax.
So that was it.
Okay. Set committee of the holes.
We don't have any.
Yep.
Move on.
Well, Mr. Chair, I think it's important to get your next government center meeting on the books. And I'm actually calling Evan right now I told him I would call him. So if you could pick a date. He's not answering.
His phone is now part of
He
the
has
open
caller ID,
meeting.
Monty.
He's
also
he's screening his
he also
calls.
has blocked calls.
Okay, let me see if I can track him down here. Hang on just a sec. Give me another second here. I'll try another number. 320-252. Hi, this is Monty from Bend County. Is Evan in the office this morning?
Do you
That'd be fine, thank you. So maybe we could go ahead, yeah, thanks. We could go ahead and start looking at some dates. So maybe the first or second week of March.
How about Monday the 3rd?
Monty from Benton County. Monty from Benton County, thank you. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
We have a call on the 4th.
Yes. Employee recognition at 7.
Just play recognition at 7.
Yep, coming up.
And we have
2 o'clock on.
we have a ditch authority meeting that night too.
That night?
Yeah, that special meeting at night at 6. Yeah.
What
And
day is
emergency-
that?
The 4th, and emergency management in the afternoon.
March 4th?
Yep. Okay, thank you.
We have a 2 o'clock hazardous mitigation.
Yep, emergency management, yep.
Okay.
That was online though, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
No wonder why I blocked out all day for that.
So the 3rd wasn't gonna work? 3rd?
3rd works for me. I just threw it out there. It works for me, but I don't know the rest of you.
I mean, it's open. I'm back in town, so, yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, you said it.
March 3rd would be fine, I think.
Yeah.
March 3rd?
The 3rd, okay. Okay, so right now we're gonna go with March 3rd at what time?
8:30?
8:30?
works, yeah.
Okay. Usually Pete's pretty, yeah. That's okay. We're just trying to schedule our next meeting with the Benton County Board. If you could let Evan know that we're looking at March 3rd at 8:30. And if he could please let me know if that will or will not work. Again, March 3rd at 8:30.
And that's for a board meeting?
Yeah, it's a next meeting with the Benton County Board.
Yeah. Okay. I will give him that message and I will ask him to respond to you Monday.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. Enjoy your day.
Yep, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. I tried.
Is that the only one you got?
That's all I got.
Wow.
Motion to approve.
Not so
Motion's been made and seconded to set the cows.
Did you have something else?
Anybody else? Anything else? Call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I got one thing that I was just made aware of earlier, and it was right after we did a resolution or the motion. But there's a significant amount of delinquent taxes on that thrifty, like 27,000.
Okay.
So, we gotta watch that.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, I don't know if she owns it or she's buying it.
Well, I think, I don't know, I think the delinquent taxes and the owner's got it for sale. There's been a for sale sign up
Yeah,
there for quite
so
some
my guess is that would have to be paid anyway.
Anyway, when the
Yeah.
sale takes
So
place.
just wanted to bring that up.
And we don't want to see the delinquent taxes be part of a deal that the company.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes. So I wanna,
Alright.
Might have heard that once or twice.
Right.
yeah.
So, yes, the next thing is, of course, you recently met with the airport authority.
Yep.
And I wanted to see did you have any reactions to what you heard? Do you have any thoughts or direction for me on this issue?
Mr. Chair, Monty and I had talked about this last day. From my perspective, I think we should set up a subcommittee of 2 commissioners from each county and get together at some type of meeting place and discuss what the counties as a whole are feeling about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that'd be a great idea. I think I missed the boat on one of my point items that, I think Mr. Towell needed to hear is that if this is gonna continue, the counties we can set that airport regional board up to be a very negative board by our appointees. Every county knows who the anti-airport person would be. And if they want to go down that route and have them kind of people on the board, it's up to us every year to make them appointments. You know, it's a 3-year appointment, but I believe we could go back and say, we decided we want to go a different route.
You can change anytime.
Anytime we can change.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that needs to be brought to them, because I don't really think they got the message that this is not going to work.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I struggled in there because I thought Kevin Johnson did a great job.
He did
on his deal, and I was very firm on my comments and stuff. But I think we all agree that we need this. We need the airport. We need some kind of a board that convenes over the airport. But I do not agree with the way that board is set up right now, or the ability. It was completely, in my opinion, set up in the St. Cloud. Yeah, and they got the most power right now.
That's the thing that really stood out to me, is it takes all 4 entities to let one entity out. That's never going to happen.
And the only way you're going to control that is for the 3 counties to appoint people that St. Cloud's going to have to come back to the table, or else, you know.
Well, and if you heard in there that the ramp needs to be redone. I mean, there's a lot of things that need to be redone on that airport.
Parking, yeah.
And there's no inflationary indexes on anything.
No.
For 10 years, the full 10 years.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chair, obviously you want to meet with the other counties. I would suggest that those meetings would include the city, but if you don't think they should, please let me know. The city's consent would be required. Any changes to that enabling resolution. So, do you want them along as part of this discussion or not?
Mr. Chair, I would think that the first initial might have to be the counties, because in my opinion, I think the counties are the ones that stand to lose.
Right.
Because everything is set financially for the city from here on out. They know where they sit. It's the counties that don't know where they sit.
Okay.
I would agree. I think initially it should be a county thing.
Okay.
I would have to agree, and I too, I do too support the airport. I was a little miffed, because our understanding back in the day was 10 years, is when we would probably have it. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Well, then I'll contact Bruce and Mike and gauge their interest of getting a couple board members to meet, and we could certainly host here if you wanted to.
I would love to be on that 2-person crew. So
we got 1 volunteer. Do we have a second?
I'm willing, but I'll let the board can decide who they want.
I don't necessarily need to make those appointments today. I can come back and ask you later. So yeah, okay. Well, first things first, then we'll contact those 2 counties. Next matter is a couple of our board members met with Sheriff Heck and Jail Administrator Charlene Novak about jail operations, jail costs, and I think too, I wanted to see, was there any follow-up, any direction from you all on the matter of the jail? And perhaps the 2 board members could share your impressions of that.
Mr. Chair, well, really, there's no other direction we can go. I mean, we're set with 30 to 35 people. Can't do anything about the jail food, can't do anything about medical or anything. And unfortunately, these expenses are going to get higher and higher and higher every year. We were hoping, it was a very good meeting, and thanks, Troy. I appreciate that conversation. We as the board are looking at the amount of money it takes to run that. And it's just, my opinion, mind-boggling, for the amount of money. Go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing I would say to that is I think we got to start looking outside the box here. I mean, yes, we're stagnant on where we can go right now, but there's got to be pushback on DOC on a lot of these mandated things that the jail's got to do, the 5 posts, 4 posts, 6 posts, whatever it is. This is unsustainable right now, and I think the number was $479 per inmate based on 30 inmates right now, per day.
Yeah, well, I believe it.
So if you,
Times that by 365, it's a pretty big number.
well, it comes out to our budget.
Yeah.
A lot of our budget there, so, you know, when you're employing 2 people for every 1 person incarcerated, and then
Don't work.
and then we have a liability standpoint, like Sheriff, we talked about, it's like, where do you draw the line? It's like, sometimes, you hate to say this, but sometimes your liability doesn't outweigh the benefit of not having those items. So I think we gotta continue to look at this and figure out what we can do, because if the public really
knew.
understood the numbers, it would be, you know, and that's why we're here.
You know, my biggest concern or fear is what DOC is gonna do this year. You know, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna come and mandate us? I mean, we don't know that, correct, Sheriff?
Correct. The rules are being reviewed right now, and it's a comprehensive review.
Mhm.
There's a lot of unknowns about what those new rules will look like.
Right, yeah. And the new rules, they're not gonna give us any money.
No.
For it. They're just gonna make it mandated for us to do all of this with the new rules. And how can we move forward with the amount of money that we're spending right now? Because we all know mandates are gonna cost a lot more money.
Well, it's to your first
it's
comment,
just
it's not
tough.
sustainable.
Well,
No, it's not.
and one of the things I brought up in our meeting is I had the unfortunate happening of somebody stole a $35,000 fish house from me, plus got into storage units, and I mean, you look at $40,000 worth of stolen stuff, right?
No.
They're out of jail in 11 hours.
Yep, that's right.
The one has court today, and the one has court on May something. And there was no bail, there was no nothing. And we're talking $40,000 worth of somebody else's stuff that we have to deal with now, that I don't have until it gets fixed or totaled or whatever. And I'm sitting here going, this is the society we live in right
This
now.
is just one little instance.
And it's not the sheriff's department, because they would love to have them in their jails,
Right.
because that's the only thing that's gonna teach them.
They probably think they should be in their jail too,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, yeah, I guarantee that. Because then they're not arresting them the next day.
Yeah, that would definitely help with our
So
jail
we understand
population.
it's not everything you, or not you, it's, it goes,
System.
the judges, all the way down, and
The system. But yeah, we're right. If the public knew how much we spend on jail, I don't know what the reaction would be.
I don't think it would be very good.
I don't think it would be very good.
no.
You know, Sheriff, is that the trend pretty much all counties other than your large metropolitan counties?
I'm not sure I understand
Trend
the
of,
question.
you know, or the negative amount of dollars that counties are spending on jails?
Jail populations.
It's jail. The responsibility to house people is expensive, and there's an economy of scale that some of the larger jails are able to achieve. If you get outside of the metropolitan area where they have that ability to do economy of scale, all the rest of us do have that burden where we're trying to make the best we can out of the responsibility we have in our buildings and the situation that we each face. So I would say that the decisions that we face are very common to all the other jails outside the metro.
Mr. Chair, Monty, or Sheriff, is there any recent history of counties shutting jails down?
I don't know. I was asked to find out from DOC how many counties don't have jails, and I got a list about 6 or 7. And when I'm back, my plan is to contact those counties and just understand
What it is?
how does it work for you.
Yeah.
You know, transport, whatever. You know, what's life like for you not having a jail?
Sure.
So when and they are small. Certainly, they're small
Smaller
counties.
counties,
They're typically really small counties that are in this list.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like a group of maybe 3 counties that were part of a regional jail.
Right.
So not a lot. But I'll start contacting when I get back. So
That's the Swift counties, them ones out in the western part that have the regional jail.
Yes, I think there's a Red River Correctional Facility out there.
I think
So
that's what it's called.
Yeah. And
You know-
I'm not aware of any jails that have closed lately. I know Mille Lacs County looked at this issue as well, and they, after having a consultant review what their situation was, went ahead with, I think, a remodel. I believe that they're maintaining their facility and perhaps changing some things.
One of the things that was alarming, and once again, this isn't on you, this is a correlation of all the counties around us that we use the numbers were, you know, our boarding rate, we just went up to $80 versus 75. The average in the area is between 80 and 125.
Yes.
But even if we went to 100 people, which we couldn't do because we're not at a 6-post jail, the max or our boarding costs are still in that $140 per person rate.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, no matter which way we look at it, this isn't cash flowing. You know, so it's a numbers game, and I think right now we can go in perfect environment with we're a 5-post right now, right?
Correct.
With a perfect environment, we could go to 75, and that was absolutely perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That would be difficult.
It'd be difficult.
Difficult to manage the jail? or
No, to get to that, a
75?
max amount of people, because they gotta be certain priorities. And
Wouldn't
Exactly.
DOC step in and say, then you're gonna have additional detention officers too then?
No, with the 5-post, again, if we can reach perfect classification, which is difficult because half the building is work release and low risk and female, and we could do that number with the staff we have now. But operationally, when you get at about 80% of your 85% of your maximum capacity, that's pretty much operational capacity because of those issues you have of you can't put high risk people down in a low risk unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sheriff, I don't wanna say, you're in a bad position. I mean, you're here defending everything, and we're here looking at numbers, and there's only so much you can do. You know, and it's once again, all these mandated things above us that get brought down, and it's another local dollar put on all of our community people. And the cruddy thing is we gotta make sure these guys, or the guys and gals that are incarcerated, that when we finally can incarcerate them, get taken care of to the fullest.
Yeah.
On our dollar. They did something to get there. When did we lose track of that?
Where do we lose track that you're a criminal? right?
Yeah, I mean, we just lost track of,
Yeah.
you know, I gotta stop. Move
Well,
on.
and you're right, that the way the court system is now, you know, all the hearings and everything are visual and all of that too, and they don't have to come into court and all that. But even at that point in time, if they get charged, they still don't come into the facility. You know, they still don't come into jail.
Crazy.
It's disappointing.
It is.
But you're right, that's the society we live in. And I don't see that society changing for quite a while.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, I guess the one other thing I'd like to inject into the discussion is when we talk about what this might look for in the future, I think the thing we need to keep sight of as well is that our jail serves all the police departments around us and also our deputy staff. So if there comes a time when we start making decisions about what that housing situation might look like if it's not here, there are several other agencies that we need to bring on board to that discussion, because that might alter how they have to staff and how they have to carry out their law enforcement function. So it's not just a matter of
Good point.
here in Foley how things work with our staff. It's a matter also of the wider perspective for law enforcement in the county.
Never thought of that, Sheriff.
Yeah, that's a good point. You got Sauk Rapids, Rice, Foley, Gilman. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else for the sheriff?
I think we gotta still continue to look,
this
just
is a
ask
really
questions, but.
Complicated subject.
It is.
And my only, thing I can offer you today is contacting these counties that don't have jails, and again, asking them what life is like, and sharing that with you all, and going from there. I think if you really want to dig into this issue, we're going to need some outside help.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big issue, Maybe I would presume there's someone out there that does consulting in jail operations that we could get their services. It's complicated. You'd want to involve the courts, the other police departments, all the participants in the system to get their input.
It's a very cruddy position as a commissioner to be in with the fiduciary responsibility when
Yeah.
you see that, because
I want to elaborate off of that.
Yeah.
You're looking at 5 elected officials and the 6th. We have
you
to,
all know what's going on.
who all know what's going on. He's got a job to do. We got a job to do, and it starts pinning everybody. Like, how do we do all of our jobs for the right of the taxpayers?
Yeah.
And then now you throw in the other agencies. I completely didn't even think of that.
I think the thing is, you're dealing with a deeply entrenched system. Think about it. That's a century old, and most every county has got enormous investment in facilities.
Wow.
And it's tough just to sort of like close the door, turn off the lights, and walk away. It's really tough.
Well, and the opposite side is if you never address it, it just continues to
It's still the
snowball.
elephant in the room.
Right.
You're right. It's a deep issue that's been around for 100 years. But
Yeah.
Well,
at some point,
one of the things I'm with the AMC public safety, one of the things that I'm changing is how they do the introductions and stuff like that. Other than our 4 policy issues that we've got, I'm having people bring what else other than those 4 policy issues. What number one struggle do you have in your county as it relates to public safety? And I guarantee you, this is going to come up for sure by me. But it's going to be hiring. It's going to be the support of the government. There's going to be a lot of things that is going to take on that policy committee that are serious. And pretty soon, my guess is we're going to come up with 5 main policies.
So if you go back years into the jail, was it ever profitable? Is it because of the dynamic change in the communities and them not incarcerating people and that kind of stuff? Is that why this is an issue?
I'd like to answer that, and then I'd like to, because we asked some of those questions in there. I think the costs have, from meals to medical to just skyrocketed. And before, it was a profitable deal when we could bring in people, or at least we were breaking even.
So there was definitely a time where we received significant revenues from jail boarding. It was not uncommon to get $1 million, $1.5 million in jail boarding back in probably the early 2000s, Monty.
It must have been before my time. I remember when I first started in 2002, 700,000, 800,000, and then it just, obviously the last few years. But
there was a significantly higher demand for jail space 20 years ago.
Yeah.
In that time, counties have built larger jails. I think the biggest change we've seen, though, has been at our state leadership level. The governor's office has a tremendous control over what sentencing guidelines are. When you really look into the machine and see how it works, yes, there's judges that sit on that bench and they ultimately pronounce sentence, and sometimes people focus on that person, that cog in the machine. But really, there's this large machine behind them that sets sentencing guidelines. There's a commission that's appointed by the governor, and these people meet and they decide how many years this person is going to get based on their criminal history score. And there's a grid, and it's set in front of the judges, and they have very little discretion to deviate from that grid. The same commission works on, recommending lower bail, and there's been a big push at a statewide level from our top elected officials to reduce bail and get people out of facilities. So we have those political winds blowing. We're blessed that we have a lower crime rate. We've seen crime fall markedly, especially out in the county over the last 5 to 10 years. So we've got that factor going on. And these, I did caution when we met with Commissioner Gopinski and Commissioner Heinen that these are all subject to the winds of political change as well. And at some point, I have to believe that people are going to get tired of being in the same situation as Commissioner Gopinski experienced, where someone is not held accountable to the expectation that the public has. I think that on a national level, we've seen those winds change differently, and even on a state level, I think that those winds are shifting with the balance of power. So I think it's difficult to look out into the future and say that this is definitely going to continue. We could see those winds continue to blow, and now more people are being incarcerated, and people decide that there's a need to have greater accountability, and that would definitely affect the numbers that we have.
Just a little FYI, the two individuals that stole my fish house, one was been arrested 51 times and one was 38.
What? Yeah. And they were still walking the street.
They got out with no bail 11 hours later.
Yeah. Wow. So as I said, I have to believe that at some point you're going to see the public reach their break.
Well,
there's going to be
stolen.
demand.
Here's a good
That
example.
forgery.
How frustrated he is about how many times they're arrested.
Yeah.
You know, and Sheriff, you know that, you know, in my time, the jail medical and just went nuts. I mean, from where we were.
It went nuts for in the last 4 years.
Yeah, and it went prior to that, you know, and I always questioned, like, we need to go out for bids. You know how that worked. But there's nothing you can do about it. I mean,
But we're wasting our officers' time, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, they get to the point where, why do we want to even do this? Because they're going to be out tomorrow.
yeah.
Is it worth doing all of our reports just so they
You
can
be
be?
entrenched in your work to want to arrest somebody that we know who they are, we know where they've been. And
51
they'll be out
times.
tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. And it's everything from, well, the vehicle they got to steal my fish house was stolen. They rented it with a fake driver's license and a stolen credit card. There's no accountability.
And what are you teaching the crooks? Just keep doing it.
Yeah, just
You
keep
know,
doing it.
Crooks instead of commissioners.
You know,
right?
and this is going on in the metro area too.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and with what happened with COVID, things changed too drastically. You know, but it is disappointing that everything's just escalating, and there's nothing we can do about it. That's my
We
problem.
keep feeding the monster.
There's nothing we can do about it.
Maybe our
you
best
know?
our best solution is
But-
what Sheriff Heck said. The political winds are going to change, and you know. But you got to give the sheriff's department credit. They're letting everybody out, but yet our number of crimes have went down in our county.
Right.
So I mean, you got to be doing something right to get that number to go in the right direction when you know the crooks are still walking the street.
But when this happens, we let these major criminals off. And one of the things that I didn't bring up was the fact that, and I did talk to my attorney on this one too, but one of the things that they stole the fish house with a U-Haul truck, a small U-Haul truck.
Yep.
They pulled my 2 5/16 hitch fish house with an 1 7/8 ball.
Oh.
If that comes off and kills a family of 4,
Yeah.
It's on you.
they're still coming after me because I didn't have a trailer lock on it.
Oh yeah.
Even though it was in a locked fence, which they broke into. They're still coming after me. Didn't mean they were going to win, but I didn't go through every precaution to not have that stolen.
Like you got all that time in the world, right?
It's,
You know,
They were one bump away from that thing coming off.
yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Troy, Sheriff, we're not here to put you on the spot.
No.
or anything. We're just frustrated. That's all, and just sharing our opinion.
And I commend every one of your
Yeah.
people that helped out in this. They, from the time that was reported to the time it was located was like 2 hours, hour and a half. They did a phenomenal job. They found all the footage. They did their due diligence. They did everything they possibly could. And
Realistically, they should have been tracking this criminal with enough. You know, they should have implanted something into him to track him after.
uh,
You're gonna
30
need a little
times.
You're gonna need
Yeah.
a little longer in the political winds to change that.
so your staff all the way down to Deputy Thomas taking the initial call to, who was the detective? Right?
Brinkman or Reese, perhaps?
Reese. And then it was, yeah. Kudos to your whole staff.
Thank you.
And Mille Lacs.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, as frustrating as it is for us on the board, I can't imagine being one of the officers going out and making these arrests. The same arrests possibly day after day after day. And how frustrating that is to come back with the same person. I
Yeah.
mean, it's gotta be frustrating because your hands are tied too.
It's craziness.
I've been in this job long enough now that I think I've reached a few third-generation crooks, so.
Yeah, they had it about 11 or 12 hours and there was drugs, needles, you name it. And I can say that, I don't care. I'm not giving names, but they're looking at totaling my fish house right now and I'm gonna take a bath on it. And these guys get out.
Yeah.
It's an absolute joke. Yeah. So that's all I got.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
So we'll take a 2-minute break or whatever, and then we'll close session and do our
Okay.